Call upon Cllr Shabina Bano to move the First Amendment.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I stand to propose the Liberal Democrats' amendment to the Conservative motion on winter fuel payments. I urge the Chamber to support the motion and our amendment. I stand here to address a decision by the new Labour government that risks the dignity, safety and the very lives of the most vulnerable citizens, our pensioners. With another harsh winter upon us and household heating bills set to soar, one of Labour's very first action has been to restrict a 300 winter fuel payment, cutting off millions of elderly people across the country. Let's be clear, this decision is both unfair and thoughtless. It denies many of our elderly citizens the crucial support they need to keep warm and safe in their homes. For many, it's not just disappointing, it feels like betrayal. Many pensioners have worked hard, paid into a system and expected a government that would protect them in their older years. Stopping this payment is more than a policy change, it's a breach of trust. In Yardley alone last year, 13,260 pensioners received the winter fuel allowance, vital support that allowed them to face winter's challenges with some degree of security. Yet, despite the critical need for this assistance, Yardley's Labour MP Jess Phillips voted to strip it away, leaving her own constituents out in the cold. These pensioners, many of whom trusted Labour to stand by them, now face a winter of hardship. This stark decision brings to mind George Orwell's Animal Farm story that serves as a warning about leaders who promise one thing and deliver another, abandoning the very people they once pledged to protect. Labour's promise to look after society's most vulnerable has been reduced to mere words. The leadership, echoing the leadership of George Orwell described. Charities like Age UK are already sounding the alarm, warning that this cut will have life-threatening consequences. For example, cold homes worsen health, increase hospitalizations, and tragically lead to premature deaths. For our elderly, a warm home is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. The isolation, the fear, the bitter loneliness that this decision will bring to so many cannot be ignored. Let's just take a moment and just picture our seniors alone in their homes, wrapped in blankets, with barely enough food. In what should be a season of warmth and light, this Christmas looks like something out of A Christmas Carol, where Labour's playing the role of Scrooge, denying comfort to those who most need it. The public was stunned when Labour announced this cut, a reduction that targeted only pensioners with significant assets might have been tolerable. But that's not what happened. Instead, Labour's guillotine has come down hard and fast, with no consideration of how this would affect those struggling to make ends meet. The shock isn't in the decision to cut, but in the callousness of how the blade fell. I suspect and hope there are many in this chamber who recognise this is a bad decision. Some may even feel it privately, but today the question is whether you'll vote with your conscience or you'll feel compelled to back a deeply unpopular party move, one with far-reaching consequences for thousands in our city. Here in Birmingham, our people have already been hit hard. This Labour-run council has imposed higher than average council tax rates while cutting services heavily relied upon by the city's poorest. Neighbouring Sandwell Council, however, has managed to allocate 200 payments to 4,000 of its most affected residents. Yet, in Birmingham, there's no money for such an initiative. This cannot even be considered. So what can we do? As representatives of the people, it's our duty to speak up for those who cannot be here to speak for themselves. Today, we must urge the government to make a special case for Birmingham, a city that has been disproportionately affected by austerity, rising energy costs and council cuts. There is a solution. The Treasury recently received £1.5 billion windfall payment from Octopus Energy. Reinstating the winter fuel payment for 1 year would cost £1.4 billion, just enough to prevent this crisis and give the government time to devise a fair, long-term solution. The Liberal Democrats are calling for the government to use this windfall to reinstate the payments this year, ensuring our elderly aren't left to face the cold. A few years ago, warm welcome spaces were established to help residents, especially pensioners, to stay warm without using their own heating. Now, many of those very spaces are under threat of closure. We're seeing this play out across the city. Adult social care services, libraries, and so many other crucial sports centres are under severe strain. And now our pensioners are truly worse off. I urge every councillor here today to put our pensioners first. Support this motion and support our amendment. To Labour, I implore you, use your influence within your party to ensure that the recent windfall payment is put to a meaningful use. Reversing this damaging cut now so our pensions can have the warmth, safety and dignity they deserve this winter. Please do not delay this next winter. Please do not delay this to next winter, where you will be offering promises just to secure votes in 2026. Our seniors cannot wait. They need action today, not assurances for tomorrow. Thank you, Lord Mayor.